Hi everybody, this is Eugene O'Loughlin, Lecturer in Computing at the National College of Ireland, and welcome to my series of short how-to videos. In this video, we're going to learn how to draw a simple histogram in Excel 2010. Before we draw the histogram, let's remind ourselves what a histogram actually is, and this definition is taken from Microsoft's website. A histogram is a chart, usually a simple column chart, that takes a collection of measurements and plots the number of measurements, called the frequency, that fall within each of several intervals which we call bins. Now I've underlined frequency and bins here because these are the two pieces of information that we need in order to draw our histogram. So for example, we might use a histogram to show you exactly how the test scores of all students who took a test measure up. First, let me just move this box out of the way here to give ourselves some space and examine the data here on the left hand side. In column A, I've got my students identified by letters of the alphabet, and in column B, I've got the grades that they've achieved in my test. And I'd like to be able to, using a histogram, to have a visual representation of the frequency of these grades. Now, we need to be able to identify the frequency and bins, so the first thing I'm going to do is draw up a list of bin limits. So I'm going to click on cell E1 here and type in as a label bin limits. And let's say for the purposes of this exercise, I want to have my bin limits in increments of 10%. So I'm going to do 0 to 10 to 20. So just type those in. And I'm going to use Excel's autofill tool to figure out the rest of my piece of information. So now I've got my bin limits in intervals of 10%. You can choose 5% or 2% or whatever it is that you want to choose. So now I've got the first piece of information I need to draw my histogram. Then the next piece is the frequency. By default, Excel does not have a tool to draw histogram, but it is available and we need to turn it on. To do this, click on the File ribbon, select the Options button, that's the second last one here on the left hand side. This displays Excel options. Again, go down to the second last one, the add-ins on the left hand side, so select that. You see a lot of information here about add-ins on your version of Excel, but just go down to the very end here where it says Manage Excel Add-ins and click on the Go button beside that. Here's a list of the add-ins available on my Excel here. This might be different on yours. The one I'm looking for is Analysis Toolpack. So search for Analysis Toolpack here and check the box beside that. If it's already checked, leave it checked and click on OK. Now what that has done is it has added a new tool to my data ribbon. So let's select the data ribbon here at the top. And over on the right hand side we have a data analysis tool. So let's select that. When you do so, you get a lot of new data analysis tools available to you. The one I'm looking for here is here in the center. It's simply called Histogram. So select Histogram and click on OK. We now need to tell Excel some information about the data that we want our histogram to display. The first piece of information is our input range. Now this is just simply the values of my test. So with my mouse I'm going to select from cell B2 down to cell B27, or I could type that in. Next I must tell Excel what my bin limits are. So my bin range is listed here in column E. So again with my mouse I'm going to select from, in this case, E2 down to cell E12. I'm going to check the labels box here so that my diagram will contain labels. I would also like my diagram to, my histogram to be displayed in this worksheet rather than in a new worksheet. So I'm going to click on the output range button here and I'm going to click in the box beside that and select an area here. I'm going to just click anywhere here, H1 will do, where I would like my output to appear. And finally, check the chart output option so that Excel will draw you your histogram, and then click OK. Now Excel has worked out everything for you here. First thing you can see it has noticed here is that in column H it has replicated the bin limits that you have already done. And in column I here it has drawn in the frequency of grades in each of my bin limit categories. And it has also drawn a histogram for me over here on the right hand side, so let me just move that and make it a little bit bigger. And you can see here that this reflects the data that I have now drawn up. So my bin limits in 10% intervals are across the bottom and the x-axis here, and the frequency on the y-axis here on the left hand side, and we can see a nice neat plot here with most values being centered between 60 and 70% here in the center of my histogram. So that's how you draw a histogram in Excel 2010. I hope you found this video useful. Thank you for your attention.